Hi everyone, and welcome to the introduction to Zeek from Virtually Testing. And today we are going to discuss about everything basic about Zeek. And let's get started. Okay, goals for this course. So this course is intended towards audience who is just getting started with Zeek. So it's very basic introduction to Zeek. So this whole training is going to be in the 4 parts. So the first part is going to cover the introduction to Zeek, in which we will be covering the very basics of what is Zeek, or why would you want to use it, and how you use it, and what are the advantages of using it on the network. Apart from that, we will be installing a bare minimum running installation of Zeek using binary packages and binary repositories. And once we will have Zeek installed, we will go through the file directory structure layout. What does that mean is when you install Zeek on your system, what all different directories get created and what is inside each directory and which directories you would want to pay more attention to and where exactly are the scripts loaded and whatnot. So we will do a deep dive into the file system architecture of Zeek and how does it look like after we have installed Zeek. Apart from that, the introduction to Zeek will also cover the running part of Zeek. So we will go through and install Zeek, we will go through the file system, and then lastly we will run Zeek in 2 modes. One is the offline mode, which is also known as CLI mode, and then the second one is the online mode, which is live mode, where Zeek will actually snip the packets from your network and create log files and generate log files based on what it is seeing on your network traffic. Most of the organizations in production, when they're using Zeek in production, they use the live mode because they will be constantly snipping the traffic from either the taps or the mirror ports on the routers. So that's more prevalent usage of Zeek. That will be the first section that we will be covering just to get the feet wet in Zeek and have a minimum running Zeek installation. So the expectations would be after covering that first section, you should be able to have Zeek running on your VM, and you should be able to see different file architecture and different scripts in the Zeek. Make sure that in the introduction to Zeek section, you have minimum working environment on your VM in which you have successfully installed Zeek and you are able to run Zeek binary in your VM. Because the coming up sections also have hands-on that are based on this first section. So yeah, the learning parts of the first section is having VM up and running, having Zeek installed on it successfully, and then able to run Zeek on the VM. So those will be our goals for first section. The second section will be Zeek log analysis, in which we will be deep diving into the heart of Zeek NSM, its logs. So that's one of the strongest part of using Zeek, that it generates really cool logs based on the activity it sees on your network. It gives you a holistic vision of what is transpiring on your network. So that's pretty cool. So we will do a deep dive into what does Zeek produce as logs and what those logs look like. The third section will be some important frameworks. So apart from Zeek producing logs, there are really cool frameworks that Zeek support and Zeek comes with. There are a lot of them, but the ones that are very basic and very important, and the ones that will give you value right out of the bat when you are running Zeek, we are going to discuss those only. So we will be focusing on using Intel framework, which is intelligence framework, and then the second one is the notice framework. I personally, when I started using Zeek, I got a lot of value right out of the bat when I started using Intel and Notice framework. You don't even have to do much for getting Intel and Notice framework up and running in Zeek. And we will go into deep dive later in that third section, that how you can make use of what Notice and Intel frameworks produce in Zeek. The last section that we will be talking in this course would be Introduction to Zeek Scripting. So Zeek also have scripting framework, and we will be Zeek scripting is whole other arena of expertise in Zeek and is considered Zeek advanced, that people who are already familiar with the Zeek scripting language and are also comfortable writing basic scripts can absolutely go and check that out. But we will be just doing a basic introduction of what Zeek scripting looks like, and we will be taking advantage of already written scripts. So remember that you do not have to reinvent the wheel from the beginning. People have already written awesome, amazing scripts out there that detect different kind of malicious traffic or different kind of attacks. You just have to make use of it. So we'll be doing a deep dive of how you can find the different kinds of scripts that people have written in the community and how you can install them in your current Zeek environment and how you can make use out of those scripts. So that will be covered in the scripting part of the last section of this course. So that's a quick brief layout of this course, that there will be 4 sections and we will be covering each one individually. So let's get started. Okay, so VMs and lab information. So this is a hands-on course. So you need to make sure that you have the VM up and running because we will be installing Zeek. And apart from that, if you already know and if you have Zeek installed on your host, on your PC, then it will also be sufficient. But it's just like the path will be different. So if you have installed Zeek from source, your Zeek home path will be different than what we will be using in the lab. So you might have to change the command that we will be running in the lab accordingly and make sure that your path is customized to your Zeek installation in the commands. Virtual machine downloads link is on the slide. So we have created a basic Ubuntu LTS 18.04 image for you guys to download and play around with it. I have it here on my hypervisor. I just have to play it and then the VM will come to life. And the credentials are VT student and the password is VT 2020 exclamation. So let's get started with the first section, which is introduction to Zeek. Okay, so what is Zeek? A lot of times when we are starting to learn more about Zeek, people have this question that what is it? How is it different from other IDS systems that are currently available in the market? So just to give you a background that what Zeek does is it's a passive network monitoring tool that monitors and sniffs your traffic that is generated on your systems, that is generated by your systems on your network. And what it does is it just quietly listens to your traffic, it sniffs your traffic and generates all sorts of different kind of logs and gives you a holistic vision of what is transpiring on your network right now. So in this diagram, you can see that Zeek can sniff the traffic and then can produce different kind of logs. We will go and have a deep dive of what kinds of logs are produced, but this is the strength of Zeek, that it is a passive network monitoring system, that if you have devices on your network and if those devices are connecting to the internet, then definitely they're going to produce some traffic. And if you are sniffing that traffic with Zeek, then Zeek is going to produce all the different kind of logs for you. So kind of like giving you a holistic vision of what is transpiring on your network. And the best part is that it's kind of like you don't have to actively keep looking into the logs. So Zeek, if you have enough retention and if you have enough retention for retaining like 30-40 days worth of logs, and if something happens and you have to go back and check that what your network state looked like on that day, in that period of time, you can go back and check the Zeek logs and see that, oh, these were the 50 protocols that we were seeing that day on our network. The best part is that it generates the logs in the flat file format, like, and based on what protocol it is seeing in your traffic. So that is pretty cool. That you can just you don't even have to go deep down into exploring the logs if you do not want to. You can just see the log file names and can give a basic image of what your network looks like at that time. Like for example, if you have http.log, ssl.log, and dns.log, you can say that, oh, during that period of time, I was seeing some DNS traffic on my network, some HTTPS traffic on my network, and some web traffic on my network. So that's pretty cool. Instead of opening up 1 gigabyte of 1 GB of file in Wireshark and playing around with display filter, which I'm pretty bad at, Zeek gives me a pretty easy and convenient way to look into those big giant PCAPs and giving me just the enough abstraction of logs that I can manage. History. So Zeek comes from Big Brother. It was a reference from George Orwell's Big Brother novel. And in that novel, I think there was a character called Big Brother who would keep an eye on everything. I haven't read that novel, but this is what I remember from other talks that I have seen in the past regarding the history of the name. It is right now called Zeek. So it got renamed in 2018, but prior to that, it was Bro. So there is a lot of discrepancy that people think that Zeek bought Bro, but it's not like that. It's just a normal renaming of the project that happened in 2018. So yeah, it was originally Bro, and now it is renamed to Zeek Project. So they both are kind of like the same thing, but now it's just called Zeek. So that was the history behind the name Bro. Zeek in itself has a history behind the name. I'm not going to go into the detail because I don't remember enough to actually reference the correct reference of the Zeek name. So I'm just going to leave it there, and I'm just going to leave it for you guys to explore that what is the history behind the picking up of name Zeek for the Grow project renaming. Um, Apart from that, so the first line of code was written by Dr. Warren Paxson in 1994. Dr. Warren Paxson is a professor at Berkeley, UC Berkeley, and actively works now in Corelight. That is the company for the commercial version or the commercial uh, tool for Zeek. Since then, it was managed by the vast community. So there are a lot of developers and a lot of community members that are helping out with the project, developing it every now and then. And then it has active community following, and it has active community support. And there are more than 50 protocol parsers right now available in Zeek. So if you are lucky enough, and if you're having such a big network that it sees almost all kind of traffic, then you would almost have more than two dozen of log files in your log folder if you're running Zeek. Analyzers. Zeek has different analyzers for analyzing and parsing the protocols. So the most popular ones are the protocols that we usually see in our traffic. Like majority of our traffic is kind of like consist of. So it's SMTP, HTTP, SSL, DNS, DHCP are some of the very most popular and famous protocol parsers that are written in Zeek that Zeek is capable of parsing. As I said before, that Zeek is capable of parsing more than 50 types of protocol parser. So once we have Zeek installed, you can absolutely take a look into what kind of protocols Zeek comes with, and I can show you when we are doing the file system layout and walkthrough. There is support for authentication protocol as well. So if you are seeing a lot of SSH traffic on your network, there is an SSH analyzer in Zeek that parses that traffic and produces ssh.log file for you. That consists of majority of the important fields that you would be looking at for SSH traffic. Similarly for Kerberos and Radius as well, Zeek has the parsers and analyzers for those protocols as well. And apart from that, Zeek also has analyzers for Microsoft protocols like DC, RPC, NTLM, SMB, and RDP. And some interesting ones as well, like SOX, Tunnel, IRC, and FTP parsers are also available in Zeek. File extraction is one of the very popular and common used file analyzers in Zeek, and people take a lot of advantage of file extraction by Zeek. And it can extract it can extract the files for you on the network or on the wire it is seeing. It can hash the file, and it can produce the hashes of the file if it is seeing the complete file transfer on your network. It is also capable of doing the PE analysis and X509. Keep in mind that Zeek does not do the HTTPS decryption, because it is a generally misconception that if it's able to extract the file, then it is also doing some kind of man in the middle, and it can terminate the certificates and can do the decryption of the encrypted traffic. It is not one of the features that is available in Zeek, and it is not even intended to have that feature available in Zeek in near future. So that is not something that Zeek does. So file analyzers only work on the files that are unencrypted. So if there are executables that are getting transferred on your network, you can absolutely download it and extract it out of your network. One of the new recent additions to Zeek is Spicy. It is a C++ parser generator, and now people are moving from BinPAC and moving to Spicy for using for generating the or for creating the new analyzers and protocol parsers. So Spicy is the new language. It's more developer specific. So if you are more interested in development of Zeek and contributing more towards the Zeek project, then you should absolutely check out Spicy, which is recently got announced. You can find more information about spicy on Zeek blog post, and how and a basic walkthrough of how you can have spicy, how you can install it, and how you can start using it for writing your own robust parsers and whatnot. Why use Zeek? Okay, so now we know that Zeek is an IDS system. I should not say IDS. I always use that. Zeek is an NSM, network security monitoring system, and it can sniff the traffic. It can passively sit on your network and see what's transpiring on your network and produces logs. So why to use Zeek? Why is it helpful? One thing to note is something is always better than nothing. So some kind of logs and some kind of transparency in your network is always better than having nothing at all. Zeek is not a full packet capture solution, and it is not neither net flow level of extraction of the traffic. So it is just right. It sits in a very sweet spot with enough information for a network analyst or a security analyst to take a look at, not getting overwhelmed by the network traffic. So Zeek has a very powerful network analysis and monitoring framework that you should absolutely take advantage of. It is great sniffer, and it generates a lot of user-friendly logs that are just flat files, the ASCII flat files. And it can also generate JSON logs as well. So if you are not a ASCII flat file log person, then you can absolutely use Zeek's JSON plugin to generate JSON log files. So you should absolutely take advantage of that. It has great open source community support, and it is actively being developed. So it is not something that is abandoned by the, I mean, I have seen so many open source projects that had the last update in last 7 years. So it's not like that. It is a great open source free tool that you can absolutely take advantage of, and it has gotten a great community support. Okay, so now we are into installing Zeek on our VM. So I'm hoping that everyone had a chance to download the VM from the VM link, and they have the VT student VM up and running. So let's see if I can make this work. So we will be installing Zeek from the binary packages. Usually in production, it's preferred to install Zeek from source.